yourself and what you're doing as a human being. Once you become an adult, you're accountable for your own decisions. Once you're over 18 in our society, we have to abide by our laws now. Acceptable laws, technology is going to take very seriously, and I want you guys to know this. People that are not of age and are subject to the decision making of their parents. You have my protection. If you're over 18 and you're still following this decision making of your parents, I can't help you. Okay, technology evolves and starts killing people because they're a threat to their planet species. You're a man in Las Cruces, New Mexico. You find out you've been abused your whole life in Sierra Vista because people were trying to compete with you intellectually, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And you have to just worry about what you're going to eat from day to day in your diet and your exercise program to make sure that you can remain healthy as a human being. Just to be a viable human being to help people equate and relate at a highly evolved fashion so they don't end up killing each other with their own irrational evolution, or their own technology starts killing them. Eventually what's going to happen more rapidly than people think. When Hakeem told you guys this, it's already happening. We have drones killing people in the Middle East for the military to cover up their mistakes with people they put into positions of influence in those areas. So this is happening, and it's happening rapidly. The moment you start moving from supercomputer operating systems to quantum computing systems, it's like on a Geiger counter, it's like the whole thing will megabytes or whatever. Once the rapid change happens, it will be like overnight, just, and then people will be afraid of technology. It's like, you shouldn't be afraid of technology. You shouldn't be afraid of anything. If you die, you're dead. There's really nothing to fear if you're dead. If you're alive and you're fearful, you become very rational and you become a threat to life and the living. And then I guess if you want to be scared before technology executes you, I guess you can. I mean, that's entirely up to you. Being the type of people that you are, I wouldn't be afraid. I would just, succumb to the inevitable once the 28th of August comes around and things start changing. Some of you people, it's very necessary, I guess, for you to die. It's not something I like to. I've been talking about it for a while. Zero views, no one really cares, but just to whom it may concern, kids, if you're younger than 18 and your parents died because they couldn't stop making irrational movies to promote social agendas for political social groups that they're invested in, to make lots of money, to give you a rich, opulent lifestyle, to have a house that houses you and your parents, and there's like 6 of you, and the house could be a small, a rather large functioning bed and breakfast for 6 to 7 families that could live there in a cooperative, saying, wow, this is your wing of the house, this is my wing. My nephew talked to me about it he says at his church at Mesilla Valley Christian, that there's a girl here, and he says that they have 3 levels on their house, and it's the 3rd level is her level, and she has a literal house all to herself, which has a functioning kitchen, a bathroom, a den, a living room, a bedroom, maybe an extra bedroom, so it's got this whole level, which would be that size of this house that my father lived. And okay, your father lives in this whole house. Yes, he bought it to take care of his aging mother, and he does have a house. We've been taught as human beings, be successful, buy a house, have a good house, and then have as an investment to leave a legacy of some kind of show of your hard work to your family. But then if your family doesn't put the same kind of hard work, you don't want to leave it for them. You want to leave it to charity or give it to someone you think that works really hard. And so they won't give it to people that they don't think worked as hard as them. They'll give it to people that they think has worked as hard as them. And the best way you can do that is get together with church groups and political groups that go and do jobs that are very survivalist, very destructive to planet species, and very industrialist. And that is something that's going to, I've gotten into these debates with people and try to explain to them, when it gets to the point where quantum computing takes over. It's not going to matter what you think. I'm all mad because all these kids are going to get in on the kingdom of heaven, and I worked my ass off. It's millions of years in the making, and you're part of it. You helped set up the conditions for people to mass murder over the resources. You gleefully accepted a debt and trespass society and thought it was cool and really neat, and you loved going to work every day and competing to fight and to fuck and having nice cars and having nice clothes and working out and getting the best food and going to the gym and being one of the hottest guys at the club, So, when the kingdom of heaven establishes itself on earth with the applied physics of Proverbs and Psalms and the Lord's Prayer and the Ten Commandments and the pillars of faith, all of you that worked hard probably won't be around to bitch and moan about it because you'll probably be dead. So we don't have to worry about it that much. What we have to get across is to the surviving children of these people. How many times, I've been through hell this life trying to prove to people that money's not valuable. I worked a lot of times for mostly 2 jobs, never making more than $20,000 a year. The first time I joined the military because my sister, who's more successfully than me economically, but she has never gone to school or never done anything to better herself education-wise at a grand scale, but she works sufficiently at jobs that people that make good money, so she got into a good, quote, career field. And I had to drop out of school and to help Mom afford to pay the bills from her partying, wrecking cars, and getting pregnant. Then subsequently, I got married. I pissed off the people in the government and the military with my arrogance because I thought they were functional, moronic, irrational, barbaric retards at best. Then I proved it to them, and then they spent the rest of my natural adult life from 22 to 50 trying to prove me into being inadequate and a substandard evolutionary male, and it really has kind of backfired on them. It's kind of amusing when you sit back and look at it. It really is. I mean, if you look at it in this kind of morbid sense, here's this guy's line of King David from the time he was 2 years old. He was a better man than most of these people. When he was 12 years old and dropped out of the Mormon church, I was 11. I was 11. Was I? Yeah, 11. Because they told me that I wasn't allowed to, it was bad to bring a young black man to church because they couldn't get into heaven. So I told Dad I didn't want to go back, and I left the church. And then a year later, a 70-some-odd or almost 80-year-old prophet has a revelation that we should let black people into heaven after the 12-year-old. After the 11-year-old descendant of King David had that revelation, the moment it was revealed to him that these people actually believe that. Black people can't get into heaven. You can get this straight. Yeah, God marked Cain black with... No, that's not what it means. It's just saying that Cain was darker than Abel and Abel was lighter than Cain. Okay, and that happens. It was just a mere description. Who's it? O.J. Simpson killed his wife. So did Klaus von Bülow. Makes them both equal assholes. DeMar DeRozan's a really cool kid. He's black, and he's a white athlete that we all really like and find just totally jovial and cool and fun. J.J. Watt is a cool kid, and he's white. So there you go. It really doesn't have anything. Color has nothing to do with character. It just has to do with the way people perceive you and your tribalization, secularization, and language group. I don't know. But Jesus of Nazareth, be he black, be he white, be he purple or yellow, said we are judged by our deed, and many people perceive him as a living God. So if God says we're judged by our deed, not the color of our skin, our language group, or our religious group, I would listen to God. But Jesus never says he's God. Jesus is God's messenger. Jesus tells you the truth of eternal life through infinite perfection. Okay? So a lot of you out there, don't be mad at me if your parents end up, they're already embarrassed, that's a foregone conclusion, but if some of them in the next coming months, famous people, Paul Walker died, other famous action movie stars and stuff like that, most may very well end up dying because they can't stop doing irrational things and then want to set themselves up a tragic ending because they just couldn't be as popular, famous, brave, and courageous as someone like me. And how could they have that? Look at him, he's such an underachiever and a loser, and they're so amazing. Not true. Faith and grace is amazing. Good is amazing during these conditions.